Let's All right, guys, focus. We're live. Okay, here we go. Hold on, let me turn my volume down because I don't even know what's happening. Hey, everybody. We are so good. We noticed we're live this time. So hello and welcome to the Pocket Dragon. My name is Vixie Bell, and I will be your neighborhood-friendly dungeon master today. I'm so excited for this particular mini campaign. This is going to be a mini campaign. It is called Euphorium, and we are working in a sci-fi setting. So that said, let's introduce our intrepid adventurers, starting with the wonderful Roman. Why don't you start us off?
Hello, I am Roman. I'm going to be playing Halogen, a Way of the Shadow monk today.
Ooh,
that's it. I don't have a punchline.
That's okay. That's all right.
You're a monk. You're not supposed to.
You have a lot of punchlines.
Next up, I'm actually going by who I see on my screen, so get ready, y'all. One of our special guest stars, I'd like to introduce you all to Kira Hope Cohen. She is the lovely Kira. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your character?
Hi, my name's Kira. I've been playing D&D for about 5 years now. I'll be playing a Dendus druid, Circle of the Stars.
Ooh, love that. Circle of the Stars happens to be a favorite of mine for reasons. Anyway, the next person is Bookish. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your character and a little bit about you?
I'm playing the twin to Kira's character. I am a alchemist artificer named Kalani, and I'm the resident gremlin here.
It's true, but we love you anyway. Anyway,
you're stuck with me. You can't get removed, you know.
But I love you anyway. Moving on, we also have the wonderful Bex is joining us at the table today. Bex, why don't you tell us about you and your character?
Well, that's me. I'm Bex. I'm here. I'm playing a human rogue. I'm only somewhere between 16 and 18. You'll never get a straight answer out of him. My name is Annie DeFranco.
Yes. Fantastic. All right. And last but not least, introducing the other of our very special guests. Welcome, Knight, to the table. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your character?
Hello. As you said, my name is Knight. I go by Nightlight95 on all of my other platforms, such as Twitch, TikTok, Twitter, all that kind of stuff. Shameless self-plug. Sorry. I do Dungeons & Dragons content on TikTok. I've been playing for 6 years now. A funny story. I'm still in the same campaign that I first ever started with. We just had our session yesterday, and we finally hit level 17.
Whoa!
Oh, God.
It's
great.
That's a dream come true for a lot of players. So, congratulations.
It's been a long, long road. I'm going to be playing the second artificer of the group. I'm going to be playing Varix, the Thrycreen Battlesmith.
Yes, which is very interesting because we have a Thrycreen joining us, but we are actually, when it comes to sci-fi, a lot of people automatically go to Spelljammer. Tonight, we're actually using a system called Espergenesis, which might seem familiar, but not quite the same. So, that's right. Last but not least, because blind spot, this is like when you're driving and you have a blind spot, I wanted to spotlight our wonderful, glorious Lev, who I'm going to butter up like hell because I almost walked away without talking about Lev, and I don't want to die today. So
Lev's like, dang it, I almost escaped that.
You thought.
It's like this fucking close.
Lev, you're muted currently.
Am I?
No,
I hear them.
I hear Lev.
Yeah,
I can't hear Lev.
I can hear
Great. So.
Oh, that's going to be great for this game.
Yes. This is going to be a fun time.
Fantastic. I'm Lev. You guys know me before. I am playing a human barbarian named Edinson Dial.
Well, someone tell me when Lev's done, because I'm deaf.
Oh no! Oh, that sucks.
I know.
This is not good.
This is what happens when we have a tech issue.
You
Only
jinxed
on
yourself.
Pocket Dragon Pub.
I did. I was so excited. I was like, oh, we're starting. It's great. We remembered that we were actually live and tech issue.
Oh.
Well, and you said earlier, you're like, well, we're going to have a
see if
tech
there's
issue.
anything I can do to
I jinxed myself.
Mm-hmm.
Can you really call it sci-fi without any tech issue?
No,
True
you
that.
cannot.
All right. Well, I think we're going to take a minute to go ahead and address this because we can't play if I can't hear Lev. So I hope
important.
everyone did hear Lev and found out more about their character. We will be right back.
Just a little.
Just a little.
Thank you. Here goes. Alrighty. And we're back. And I can hear and see Lev again, so that tech issue has been resolved. Yay! Moving on. That said, as far as announcements go, since I also do those, surprise, surprise, we have some interesting things coming up at the Pocket Dragon. We are starting Euphorium, our sci-fi mini campaign that will run through February. And then in March, we're going back to Denegard with Lev because they're going to be DMing. They're so excited. Look at the excitement on Lev's face. That's not the
Kill
face
me.
of fear. Anyway, we have that, and we also have a very special we also have some very special other things happening that we'll be announcing as they get closer. But for now, that's what we have going on at the Pocket Dragon. If you want to keep up with us, you can always follow us on social media. So, is everybody ready to get started?
No.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody but Roman can get on the bus. Roman can just wait. And yeah. Oh, I also do want to mention we do have a new emote. It is called Cheers, and that's a reminder to make sure that we all hydrate and no one passes out. So cheers. Because I also don't want to hydrate and pass out.
I can't use the
Gotta
emote.
make sure my hand covers this very obvious symbol on my can.
Not all of us have duct tape.
I have electrical
Alrighty.
tape behind me. It's just that
Night, that's going to be your birthday gift is duct tape.
Yep.
Yes, thank you for
But
the
I always
reminder.
wanted-
We also are starting our campaign on a very special day. It happens to be Knight's birthday. Happy birthday, Knight! This is your birthday song. It isn't very long.
Very long.
And now for the campaign with the dog. I love it. I love it. All right. So let's get this party started. For our audience, our crew already kind of knows what's going on, but for our audience, let's go ahead and set the scene. I would like you to come with me into the realm of space. We are going to be heading towards the Carabiner system, which is called that because it is linked to the Silrayne arc. And their movements mimic each other, which is why, since they're so connected, it is called the Carabiner system. In the Carabiner system, there is a planet called Nordstern, and in Nordstern, the biggest and largest port is called the Port of Corona. A city has built up around it. If someone says COVID, I will slap you. Do not say anything. Thank you. Because there is a star constellation called Corona, and then I regretted my decision. So we move on. In the port of Corona, it is bustling with commerce. You have a lively nightlife. It is very much a port city. And that is the first of one of the settled planets in the Carabiner. There aren't that many, but for a very special reason. And it's because the Carabiner lacks the power source called crucibles. The Silrayne arc has these ancient artifacts called crucibles that hover around each planet and provide them with a mineral called sorium. That mineral, being a very powerful energy conductor, is used to power everything in the Silrayne arc. And while the Carabiner is connected to the Silrayne arc and is governed by the Silrayne arc, they don't have those power sources available there. However, crashed remnants have been found on specific planets, and that sorium is carefully mined and distributed throughout the settled planets of the Carabiner to provide power. That brings us to the setting of our story, the port of Corona. Now, everyone, we know where you're headed. you've all received a directive. If you've been following our social media, our audience also knows about this directive. You've received a directive from someone named Evane Connelly, who is part of the Silrayne Scientific Research Division. And each of you have accepted this directive for your own reasons. And now you're finding your way to the Dusty Starfish. We're going to do a little bit of a different kind of introduction today, so brace yourselves as I continue to take us narrow our scope, and we set the scene as we follow two sisters as they're walking towards the port of Corona and the Dusty Starfish. On their data pad, they happen to be listening to the teachings of Halfath, a Dendusar scholar and resident crackpot. And they happen to be listening to history has given way to the modern age. The core worlds flourish with technology and innovation, industrialism and science. Along with the power harnessed from the crucibles, we have created spacefaring societies with bountiful resources and capabilities. But there is a theory, a warning left behind of tragedy befalling the newly reborn realm. The Euphorium is merely a veil, separating us from forces that could destroy the balance that was achieved at so great a cost. The message, the Aria's message, forewarns of a destruction so vast it would surpass even the first great winter, that which brought about the end of the war. For now, the crucibles stand as monuments to a lost age. Sorry, I'm going to lose my place if I don't scroll down, so I'm going to do that. Of a lost age. That's where I was. Now I got to find it. Reading, everyone. I love it, don't you? All right.
Yes.
And a force for peace across the galaxies. However, unless the Aria's warning is heeded, our kind may bring about the next great winter. And nothing we can do will stop it. And the recording cuts off for you two sisters as you continue to walk towards the Dusty Starfish. What do you do? And tell us a little bit about yourselves, Bookish and Kira.
I refuse.
The Great Winter, or to tell us about yourselves?
Don't let them see us. Just don't look up, and they won't know. They won't know we're gone, right? Well, we can't do that. Dad would be very mad. Well, so would other dad.
Let's just hurry. I just want to get there. I don't want to be late.
So we're going to go with that story, of getting new environmental samples, right? You think they'll believe it?
I'm sure wherever this takes us will surely give us something to work with.
Just hope they don't see through our ruse.
I think we're clever enough to outsmart some others.
Two brains in separate bodies. What could go wrong?
Now approaching the port of Corona. Please have credentials ready.
Fumbles mine out. All right.
And as you approach, behind you, there seems to be someone else approaching. Someone who seems a little bit odd, as they're not of this world and seem to be floating on a little ball of sorts. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Knight?
Okay, this is a lot sooner than I expected to be brought in.
Surprise!
Surprise!
I promise I'm going somewhere, so don't worry.
So the ball that he's riding on, so he's like full body just laid over the top of it. The droid itself is about 4.5, I would say 3.5 feet in diameter. It's got a large purple light in the middle of it and a singular screen behind it. And it also seems to just be looking around, and the figure laying on top has a pair of goggles on wide eyes and a scarf, and he's just laying and he's just looking around. And he'll occasionally like look down at the droid, tap it or work on something, bring out his data pad, type it down, and then move back, and then just continue laying and floating, making sure he's going the right direction.
And as you're doing that, you hear something come from your data pad. Error. Credentials not accepted. Error. And unfortunately, one of the Carabiner Network guards, because here in the port of Corona, so far away from the Silrayne Arc, there is another governing body known as the Carabiner Network that enforces the rules that the Silrayne Arc cannot. And one of their guards approaches you and says, "You'll have to come with me. It looks like there's something suspicious going on with your credentials." And he asks you to follow him.
Not saying anything, the droid just, he starts floating backwards. Very small in stature. He is a very small person, approached by a guard.
The guard is used to this, and he just sort of sighs and says, We're not trying to arrest you. We just want to review your credentials. It could be something as simple as a program error. If you'll come with me, we'll get it sorted out."
He'll nod his head and float behind the guard.
And this all happens behind our wonderful twins. So this sort of kind of happens concurrently with you guys. That said, while you get that sorted out with the guard, someone else is walking up towards the port to enter their credentials. And they might be walking a little fast because they're being pursued by a very feminine presenting individual who is very bejeweled, and they're like, "But Ed, you said you would come back and now you're back. Why don't you just stay? It's so easy." Why don't you tell us a little bit about your character?
Already killed Ed.
Lev.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Ed.
Come on,
I was
Ed.
like bejeweled.
You're bedazzled.
Yes, you have a big bedazzled Ed on the front of your shirt.
Yeah, that's it.
Just juicy on
all
the
right.
jeans.
God.
Juicier on the butt.
All right.
Yes.
Yes. It's canon.
Them apple bottom jeans.
So
This is how the show is going.
Ed stands at about like 5'11", 6 feet. He's got sort of a honey goldish, dirty blonde hair and a mullet style, chopped and shaggy in the front, hangs over his ears and then hangs down longer around to like frame his neck. He looks got a shaggy sort of face, not stubbly beard, but relatively short, kind of scratchy looking, stronger nose, and he's got a thicker, bigger, much like my jacket that I cut on here, that I'm trying to emulate Ed in. He's got a bigger jacket on, sort of worn for traveling, that all he's done, sort of baggy-ish pants with these tight-fitting socks, or what looks like socks, covering his calves, and some ratty-looking shoes. And he's... Wow, I was not expecting to be followed by somebody. Fuck.
That's what happens when you fool around. And this person's jewelry jingles as they follow you, and they're like,
Dude, they got like the hoops.
But I thought you said we were forever.
Jesus fucking Christ.
That's actually not what happened, by the way. You were very sleepy, and you kind of muttered something when they asked you this question. And they were like, yeah, that's what that means.
It was really
Would've
pizza
been-
bagels are forever.
Yeah. This question would have been asked when Ed was a much younger version of himself. Ed is 30, now, and when he met this person in, I'm assuming Nordstern, it would have been in a much younger, much more stupid fucking time of his life. So his expression reflects that very much, as if like he meets this person every single time he comes back to Nordstern and is just like tired of this conversation. Sort of. Yeah, I think he'd be actively ignoring her.
Ignoring them.
So just making his way, them, I apologize. Just making his way directly to the Dusty Starfish.
And at this point, the figure just sort of puts their jewelry jingles as they put their hands on their hips, and they go, "Ed, you're so impossible. I can't freaking believe you." And they just as their jewelry is jingling. They're this person that has that jewelry that is jingling, that they have the long nails, the whole shebang. They're just so annoyed. Clack clack. Yes, literally the clack clacks.
Oh no,
I
that's
just
from LA.
can't with you. Next time I'm doubling my prices if you want to stay with me. Like that. So this person just told you they're doubling their prices the next time they want to stay with you want to stay with them. So.
Oh.
And then they turn around.
Do they have what's their name?
Their name, because you have been with this person before, is they call themselves Wendy. Their actual name is Wendell.
Okay.
So, and they spell it with an I. They spell it Wendy with an I.
Wendy with an I.
Yes. You better get it right or they'll get pissed.
Kalani's just thinking to Nerix, going, the hell is going on here?
I love this.
Yeah. If they're heading off in the opposite direction, I'll see you next time, Wendell.
It's a Wendy with an I. Oh my god.
Fucking all right.
IWENDY.
I. And then they literally they're super upset with you because clearly this is something that's been going on for a bit this morning, which is why you look so beset and harassed and over it. And they're just like, you know what? Fine. Never talk to me again. It's okay. And they literally take off their sandal and they throw it at your back.
Oh, fucking fantastic. Yeah. All right. You fucking like games, and you're just picking up the sandal and just chucking it in the opposite direction.
And Wendy watches the shoe go by and rolls their eyes, folds their arms over the chest because they're not going to be wrong, turns on their heel and literally hobbles away with one shoe on and no shoe on the other foot.
Yes. What happens when you make stupid fucking decisions?
You're a stupid fucking decision, God! And
he just shoves his hands in his jacket pockets and fucking hides himself and just fucking moves on. God damn it.
So, and then you enter your credentials into the port entryway, and it says, "Credentials accepted. Welcome back, Ed."
I hate it.
I hate hearing how stupid his fucking name sounds.
I love this. I love every second of this. Alrighty, so that's you, and you're heading on your merry way towards the Dusty Starfish, merry in quotes.
Merrily.
And then we have a young individual who seems to be kind of trying to look inconspicuous, but in the same way you're trying to look inconspicuous but also be cool, you're sort of humming the Mission Impossible theme to yourself. And why don't you tell us a little bit about your character, Bex?
So you remember when Kronk is doing the humming that Mission Impossible theme and is totally doing those? That's exactly what Annie's doing, full on. But this is a child. This is absolutely a lanky teenager who has not grown into their features and is way too awkward, way too awkwardly doing what they're doing to be in any way inconspicuous. They think they're doing great, though. That's the best part. They think that nobody notices. This is what adults do. This is great. This is how this works.
This is what adults do.
I'm an adult.
Annie is a, unclear exactly what their age is. They use any and all pronouns. Unclear what his age is. It's also a little bit unclear to him. That's a whole other thing. He comes from somewhere else. This is not his home planet. They don't keep track of time the same way. He just knows that he is old enough to be doing anything he wants to be doing. And right now, what he wants to be doing is getting into this bar.
Yes, and as you go ahead and you enter your credentials into the thing, and the robotic voice says, "Credentials accepted. Welcome, Shore." And as it says this, it continues and says, "Your first class treatment has been confirmed."
Sick. I mean, thank you. I knew that.
Downloaded to all receptive vessels. The Dusty Starfish is aware you're coming. They will provide drink and food as suitable for you. Have a nice day and enjoy the port of Corona.
Thanks. I mean, I've been here before, so I will. Thanks. Just walks inside.
Real smooth.
Nailed it.
Move this button.
I fucking can't.
And last, but certainly not least, we have an individual who actually is very good at being conspicuous and is just making their way to the port, making their way. And towards the port, just like they're having a leisurely stroll, not in a rush. They've left with plenty of time. They're good to go. So why don't you tell us about your character, Roman?
This individual is not tall, but not short. They are, I guess that's perspective, but whatever. They are dressed in more like, I would say, like, they look more like pilgrimage clothes. Like, they don't have any armor on. They don't have any, like, baubles of any kind or anything like that. They're actually draped in like a really dusty brown and cream colored leather cloak. They have a hood up with a little bit of like dark bluish gray hair and black hair coming out of it. Kind of wrapped up in wraps, like hand wraps and arm wraps and things like that. But yeah, other than that, they have very dark complexion of like blue and grayish kind of skin, with tracings of these like gold tracings along their face and stuff like that.
Okay, and as you're walking, your data pad buzzes. It's been buzzing for a little bit now.
Yep.
And yep.
Yep.
And someone's trying to get a hold of you, and you've been steadily ignoring it, which is then followed by the blip blip of many, many, many text messages.
Yep. If you never read the message, you can't leave them on red.
Yep.
So as your data pad is just on fire as you walk in and you enter your credentials. And as you enter your credentials from your data pad, you see that you have 200 missed calls and 400 messages. One of them pops up on the screen, and it's just this emoji, basically.
Yeah, I'm just gonna silence everything as soon as I get in.
Your notifications. Okay, and the credentials thing says, "Credentials accepted. Welcome to Corona. Here is your contact list and a list of your current contacts that are present in the port is sent to you. And you know that this is encrypted and cannot be hacked. It's something specific to you. So, and I will send you that list if you would like. So,
Of course.
Wonderful. So I will send you that list during our break. It's not going to apply now, but maybe later.
Sure.
A special tool that'll help us later. But anyway, and with that, everyone except our poor wonderful knight is able to enter the port of Corona and go to their merry way to the Dusty Starfish.
Well, it was nice knowing you, Knight.
Yep, see you guys.
That's it. That's the game for night. No.
See ya.
Amazing
Eventually,
cameo.
you are.
Beautiful.
Eventually, what a
Barracks
wonderful
is
cameo.
arrested. Barracks is arrested for trying to go somewhere.
Barracks got nailed by TSA for suspicious activity. Good
Yeah,
job.
yep, walked it out of a crowd.
Yep, this 7-year-old kid just in jail for the rest of his life.
No.
Jerome made a funny face at them. They just couldn't allow that, you know?
They're
We
like,
had to go
oh,
back.
this guy.
Do we have two children in this party?
No, they're not kids. They're not kids. They're not.
Right, sorry,
your
not
reaction, Your reaction is the same reaction that Lev had when I told her the ages of people in the party.
Yeah, so
It's like,
children?
okay, so I'm working with toddlers. It's cool.
when I mentioned that Varix is very small in stature, he is very
Yes.
small.
Tiny. Well,
is boy.
the good news is, Varix, as everyone is making their way to Corona and you've been pulled aside by this TSA card, a very tall, stately woman actually arrives and gives the guard an earful. And basically, if he didn't have an extra orifice before, he has one now. And you are released.
Excuse me?
And this woman says to you, Varix, this is the last time that you wander away from me. How many times have I warned you not to do that? It could put you in a dangerous situation. Don't look at me like that. Those puppy eyes aren't going to work this time, and they won't save you from someone who actually wants to hurt you.
He'll just put his head down and just kind of like kick rocks for a second. Just
Oh my god.
put his hands behind his back and just.
And she puts a hand over you, and she kind of gives you like a little, like, not a noogie, but like a head pat type of thing. She says, you have to be more careful, especially when you're doing something like this. I want you to come back to me. And don't you want to be like your favorite captains in the stories you've read?
He'll perk up and his antenna will just like.
Well, and she says, I got you something. And
His face turns immediately like bright orange, just super excited. And
Yep,
even
and
his
this
droid is like.
She pulls out a little gold pin, and you know that it's kind of like a first flight pin, but for you it's like a first ship pin. And it sort of is the kind of thing you give to a child when they're going on their first flight. So she puts this little pin on you and says, there, my little captain to be.
And they'll go up and hug her leg.
Oh, and she picks him up and puts him back on his droid and gives him a little head pat again and says, come on, we're going to be late. And
He'll look
comes with you, and
he'll start following her, and he'll just be like, and just point.
yes, and this time, with both of you present, the machine says, credentials accepted. Thank you for visiting the port of Corona. And you're both able to pass and go on to the Dusty Starfish. Now, before we get too far to the Dusty Starfish, I do want to note that as you're walking by, you're walking through a working port. And a lot of the port is very much trade. You're walking past merchant ships, but you're also walking past tourism ships as well. And what you hear, within Corona itself is a bustling city, but what you hear is the little robots that keep giving the little tourism speech. It's like a little warforge that sits at the edge of where these tourism boats go, and you hear the same little thing that it says. Welcome to Corona. Located on the planet Nordstern, Corona is a colorful place to find culture, history, and entertainment. Our trade port brings rare and exotic goods to the market. At night, enjoy a show, a grand meal, or a few games of luck in one of our fine establishments. Remember, all trade negotiations must be brought to the network hall, and all troublemakers are subject to the ruling of the network. Enjoy your stay in Corona. Please be advised, due to the thorium shortage, the hours and offerings of some establishments are subject to change. As you continue onward, the Warforged voice fades, and you press past the tourism docks, and things become more industrial. As you go past sort of merchant ships and more into hardier vessels that are bringing in supplies for the port of Corona, until you finally find the tavern that you were told about. And this tavern is essentially, for all intents and purposes, a dive bar. It looks that way. This is the kind of tavern that the locals frequent, not tourists. And as you enter, and look around, you see that there's not a lot of people here. There's just the bartender, a couple of people that look like they just got off their ship at work, one of the dock workers, more than likely, and a woman who looks very much like a race called Eldori. This is apparent by her blue skin and her deep black hair. As you enter and you ask for Evane, you are directed towards that blue woman. She's sitting towards the back in a booth that looks big enough to fit everyone she is expecting. What do you do? Oh, I want to mention that the first people to arrive are actually the twins, because they've been walking for a bit.
Just checking, do we recognize this lady?
Yes, you do.
Alright, Nerix is going to grab Kalani's hand, squeeze it, and using our Laramie, we're going to talk to each other saying, are you ready for this? We can get through this together.
We got it. Us together, we're unstoppable.
And we'll start walking forward.
She seems to recognize you both as you approach, and she raises an eyebrow, but doesn't say anything yet, because behind you follows Ed. So, Ed, what do you do?
Again, with his hands still shoved in his pockets and just like a resting bitch face, he's gonna approach behind these two, kind of slow, not really encroaching upon them or anything, but seeing I'm assuming would he recognize this woman or only by name?
He would only know her as Evane, because of what the bartender told him. He would not recognize her, by sight.
Okay, and the bartender would have been that bitch over there.
Yes, basically.
Okay. All right, so he would have walked to the table and just sort of stood there with his hands in his pockets, tilt his head. You, Evane, fucking...
Evane, treat me with some respect.
Ed, I'm Ed.
And good to meet you, Ed. Have a seat. And she motions towards the table, mildly irritated at your behavior. She presumably the twins have already been seated without being invited, I assume. Is that correct? Okay. And I want to bypass.
Just awkwardly sits down,
hi. And she's like, we're gonna deal with this shit in a minute.
Sit here. So he would have also just mildly upset with the situation in general. Just would have taken a seat, maybe
Just upset.
Just in general, yeah. It's just fucking ugh. I found a seat not directly next to either of them, but with a seat in between, so that he's got two seats empty to each side of him.
It's about to get real crowded for him.
And kind of sitting slack in his chair, back with his legs out, knees apart. Oh, that's a panko. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say it was just a dog barking at him in annoyance. Whatever.
Oh yeah, that's just a street dog. But yeah, he's sitting slack with his foot out, not very a light posture, just slack posture.
Evane sort of looks at you oh great, this is the kind of dude that's okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he'll be like.
She just raises an eyebrow in that mom kind of way, you really want to do this? And then her attention is immediately drawn to the door because someone else is walking in, and it's basically Kronk humming the Mission Impossible theme. And as much as annoyed as she is with you, she's kind of what in the... And Annie, what do you do? Oh my God.
Hi.
She looks down at her data pad and she says, "You're sure?"
It's actually Xor. Mm-hmm.
Right. The axe. That's you?
That's me. Don't I look like it?
I find that hard to believe, but have a seat.
Why?
Ed's face is looking straight at this kid. with a sort of, are you fucking kidding me? sort of
Annie
expression.
has clocked Ed and is looking anywhere but Ed. Anywhere but Ed.
Just draws a
Kalani's
silhouette
just-
with her eyes.
Kalani's just mind blinked to Merrick's going, this is gonna be so fun. Look at all of them.
Whoa. Oh, the serial killers.
Fun will be debatable.
Quite an
Okay.
adventure.
And that said, Evane, like, again, pulls this, like, this is a whole thing. We're going to deal with this later because someone else is walking in the door who actually looks like they might know what they're doing. Roman, what do you do?
How would I look like I know what I'm doing?
Because you carry yourself with more grace than Kronk,
You
who's having
don't
the
look
Mission
like a
Impossible
child.
theme.
Okay. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to play it in as if I've been there for 10 minutes already.
Okay.
I'm going to walk in and I'm going to... Where's the nearest empty seat?
Probably, you know what? I want to say Ed, but only because I want to piss off Lev.
Go ahead, man. Get it. Let's do it. It's character.
But there's room in the booth. You just need to pick where to sit.
I won't sit as close as possible, but I will sit relatively close, as if I know them. As if we're buddy old pals.
I'm
You
on the
know,
other
like-
side of the
And
table.
Yeah.
The Evane looks at her data pad and says, "Mason."
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
Who said that? Jesus.
I couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
Oh my
Grievous
God,
comes
no.
in. Oh, wrong. Sorry.
Wrong show. Oh no.
Sorry, no.
I'm in the wrong movie.
Oh my God. Okay, so that said, Evane looks at you and like kind of gives you a nod of approval, like finally another adult. That doesn't look like they need a bath, you know, kind of that situation.
Fuck off.
And the last but not least, you hear the clacking of boots. Now, I want you, in terms of how she carries herself and how she presents herself, if you've all watched Treasure Planet and you know Captain Amelia, that is how she carries herself.
Okay, I have a crush now.
She has her.
Before
Yeah,
you
she,
even say anything.
yes, she.
Literally the conversation. Oh God. Mommy,
Continue, please.
So
Go
she
on.
has her hands. She has her hands behind her back. She is looking about the room. It is very clear that she is a tabaxi, but she is
Oh,
very.
no,
she
she's
looks like
hot.
she will.
Oh no.
Yes. She is wearing a captain's coat that is pressed. She is very much the impression of a competent ship captain. And behind her is someone who'll be familiar to the twins because they watched him get almost arrested by TSA, is the tiny little 3-creen with his little droid. And
The captain will probably walk in about
Mhm.
5 feet, and then you just see Varix poke his head around the doorway. Just, like Chopper from One
Just
Piece style,
leave.
just and then
yes,
just quickly runs in behind and then hides behind the captain's leg and just
and
Little finger wave.
this is the point in time where I was like, I needed to think of a name for this character. Damn it. So, but yes. So the captain walks on with this little 3-creen clinging to her leg, and pauses in front of the table and looks down at Elaine. Like, this is the kind of person who looks down at you if you are not at her eye level. And she says, "Evane Connelly," and Evane nods, and she says, "Thank you very much for submitting your directive. We have chosen to accept, but unfortunately I cannot accept personally. So instead, I will be giving you the privilege of working with one of my subordinates." And she kind of looks down at Varix like, this is your moment, dude. Look like you're supposed to. And she looks down at Varix.
Varix will step around from around the leg and just tentatively tap his hands together, and he reaches down and connects with his other arm. He's got two sets of arms. He got an upper and lower, and he connects with the lower one, and then the other one comes around this way, and then he starts working with his hands, and he pulls out his hands like in an X faction, and does a he has a bunch of filament in between his fingers, and has done like an extended advanced cat's cradle with all these little fibers.
You see, he is quite talented. Evane comments, he looks a bit young.
His head goes a little red, and
the captain sees this and says, "Madam, I am Captain Aurora. I have the finest crew in the Carabiner system. The fact that I am giving you one of my crew members is not only a detriment to me, but a privilege for you. So I suggest you don't insult him any further." And Evane is quiet and says, "Thank you." And
fascinating.
You can do whatever you want.
Can I clarify
During
who's
this exchange.
sitting next to Ed?
Who's sitting next to Ed? Raise your hand.
I think if nobody else sat immediately next to him, then the closest would have either been Kira or Bookish. Who wants to get a word from Ed?
It would be. I was gonna say I'm like right. I think I'm pretty damn close to you because I said I didn't want to sit right next to you.
Oh, okay,
but
okay,
like
okay.
comfortably enough next to you.
Okay.
I don't know if I made a mistake doing this, but we'll see.
No, that's fine. I just didn't know if you pick. I thought you were talking about the general table. Whoever's closest to Ed, we'll say Mason. We'll say it's Mason.
Mason.
She's like got his arms crossed over his head, just sort of, or over his chest, watching this interaction. He sort of leans just a little bit, and he's like, "Isn't that a fucking bug?"
What?
Is this whispered or is this loud enough for the captain to hear?
I mean, like it's not loud enough to like disrupt their conversation, but like it's enough for, an immediate next person to hear. Like I said, isn't that
I'm not deaf. I heard you. Why does it matter?
Then why'd you ask?
It was more
It's
of like,
just a fucking question. Jesus Christ, never mind.
why does it matter if it's a bug or not?
You know
The
what? This
captain
is fucking-
side
never
eyes
mind.
both of you, like
You fucking
side eyes,
skanks.
like not even turning your head, but like the eye that you get when someone's like, "I could kill you, but I don't want to," and says, "It seems you're going to have enough problems on your hands, so you might as well have more competence as part of your crew." Evane.
Don't worry, they're just hungover. I just slap Ed's shoulder.
Oh my god.
Don't worry about it. They're fine. Just ignore them.
I am so looking forward to this adventure.
The captain turns, gives Varix a little pat on the head, and leans in and says, "You do a good job, and remember, you must come back." And leaves.
As she leaves, a very familiar voice pops into Ed's head and says, "Please don't tell."
Can Barracks grab at her sleeve as she turns to leave? Just
And the captain turns and says, and looks down at Varix.
and he'll just give her a big hug.
Oh. and
then
she
quickly
she
let's
gives
go.
him yeah. She gives him a pat and then salutes him.
Both arms.
Good luck, Lieutenant
Lower
Barracks.
arm.
And then walks
Lower
away.
arm, upper arm.
She said, "Good luck," and she says, "Good luck," and she walks away. So,
Hearing Ani's voice in his head, Ed is now paying attention again back to the child at the table with that expression that's like, "We'll talk later." Later.
So now that you've all arrived at the table, Evane sits with you, and she kind of takes stock of each of you, and you can see the emotions flying across her face. She first addresses Kira and Bookish and says, "Does the scientific division know about the directive?"
Totally. They, no? No, we didn't tell them. We made up an assignment.
Well, thank you. I could lose my position over it.
And
Now-
inside Kalani's head, you're going to hear, "Oh, we're definitely staying for this now."
Most definitely.
Well, I sent out the directive because the Scientific Research Division's inability to act is, well, I've had enough of that. I'm trying to do something to save the Carabiner on my own. But first, we should all get to know each other. She's a little awkward. But first, we should all get to know each other. Why don't you tell me about yourselves? Like a round table.
It is a round table.
Very astute.
No, I mean like names. We could start with names. I know who some of you are, but not everyone.
Well, who don't you know?
Like you. She points at Kira and Bookish. We really only met
Work.
in passing.
Mostly work. We happened to see the message, and we were very much looking for the adventure and the mystery ahead.
Oh, well. There's both of that. And she looks from Kalani to Nerix as if she's gonna get some kind of something from Nerix.
I'm just looking forward to seeing what you plan on doing. I'm just curious, that's all.
All right. Well, that's something. And she then looks to Annie and says, "I thought that the axe was much older."
Oh, it's a common misconception. I'm old. I'm older than I look.
Are you sure you're equipped for a mission like this?
Sure, you can run my credentials again if you need. I absolutely can do this.
The algorithm wouldn't have chosen you if you didn't have the credentials, but I just wanted to be certain.
Questioning the algorithm?
I don't know. Maybe I was just, the expectation that I had was different than the one that I got.
I mean, my name is, it's more, my name is like a whole thing about what I do, not so much about like how I am outside of work, you know.
All right. And as you say this, the bartender comes up with food and drink specifically for you, Annie, and says, "Here is your beverage and your food, Mr. Axe. Just so you know, this isn't exactly a 5-star establishment, so this is the best we got." And it's basically like wings and celery with blue cheese. So
This is great. This is more than enough. This is thank you.
and like you get a big like thing of ale that's like frothing at the top and stuff. You can tell like it's the best one that this place has, but their best is not necessarily like the best. You know what I mean?
And he just kind of leans to Varix and goes, "They're so nice here."
And
he
the
looks at
bartender
Annie and just is like, and he scoots a little away.
And with like Vane's gaze moves to Varix, and she says, So you're Varix? What exactly do you do on your ship?
And he'll stop and he pull out his data pad and he'll type out a few things and send, and then all of you at once receive a message on your data pads.
Was that called airdropping or whatever for iPhone?
Airdropping is sci-fi.
cool.
Yeah.
And it's a message that says, "Hello, my name is Varix. I am a shipwright and smith aboard the Star Weaver. I'm very glad to join you." And it's a little emote of him bowing.
Oh, I've heard of the Star Weaver. That's a great ship.
While everyone is looking at this message and slightly distracted, Ed is going to reach across the table where Annie's ale is sitting and take it, and be like, "Let me get this for you."
You're clearly
Surely someone of your credentials needs a taste tester, right? Poison and shit. And takes it back to his side, goes back to being slack, and just like looks at him, daring him to say something about it.
Oh my God.
And then goes back to reading the text message.
That's a good ship. That's a good ship you're on.
He kind of sits up straight with pride, his chin now barely above the table. Just he's very happy to hear praise about his ship.
How fascinating.
You do come highly qualified. The Star Weaver is the top, I think it's the top merchant ship in its class, and one of the only ones to successfully make its way from the Carabiner to the Silrayne without a single pirate attack.
Yeah, it's the only one that I've ever heard of that hasn't been hit before.
Well, you met the captain. I'd probably steer clear myself.
She was pretty.
She was scary.
At both comments, he'll be like, "Yeah, she's very pretty. She's very scary."
And she looks at Ed with the ale in his hand and says, "I see you're going to be that kind of guy."
And what kind of guy is that? Pray tell. Because right now it's looking like I'm the only guy that you asked to be here. That's not looking for a secret way onto some sort of ticket field trip. So,
I mean, we
hear
didn't
dude.
do it
Kinda
by
guy.
secret. We just happened to take the message and save her from getting in trouble.
I don't know about you. I was totally invited.
yeah.
The algorithm
So-
shows all of us. Why are you questioning all this? Sounds like you have more doubts than you do confidence.
I wasn't expecting this kind of crew.
No, I'm
I thought
looking over
you'd
at Ed.
be more.
Yeah, I think I got some pretty decent doubts.
I think you have.
For one reason or another. And he looks over at Annie.
I think you have some, maybe some past coming up. That's
I think
causing
there's
some
some
problems.
water damage on the ceiling. Have you seen that? There's definitely some water damage in here.
Judging
Look.
books by their covers, automatically being oppressive to us. I think you just need to back away for a second, take a breather.
I
Quick
do
question.
have to
Fine,
point
thanks.
out. I do have to point out that this man, and she motions to Ed with like the sigh of like, dear God, is one of the top bounty hunters in the Carabiner. If you are looking for someone, Ed will find them.
He looks at the guy as Mason next to him. He's like, "Nice to meet you."
Oh my God, I love this interaction. I'm sorry.
The pleasure's mine
It's great.
for now.
I'm
gonna,
sure.
I'm gonna slide my cup drink over toward Annie.
And he takes it and drinks really deeply.
And I just lock eyes the whole time
Varix
on Ed.
wants to say
Yeah,
something.
Yes, Varix?
I was just going to ask, when Annie says that there's water damage on the ceiling, Varix looks up. Is there actually any water damage on the ceiling?
This
Probably
is a
a
dive
little
bar,
bit.
so yes.
So
The
yes,
answer
but
is
like
yes.
not
There's a
where
little
not
bit.
where Annie's pointing. Like it's
this
like 3
bar-
feet away from where Annie's pointing.
Yeah, this bar has seen some shit. So if you're looking for wear and tear, it is most definitely there. It has been repaired so the thing doesn't fall apart, but it is like a weirdo blend of old school and new school because like the benches are made of wood, the floor is made of wood, but at the same time, there's a holographic jukebox that's projecting on one side. The booths that you're sitting in are made of metal and like space, like, you know, they're space chairs for lack of a better descriptor. But at the same time, you also have a lute and a fireplace here. So it's this kind of weird mishmash. And that is basically how Corona is. It's a weird mix of old and new.
And in that case, upon seeing this and showing that he still has to like show that he's useful, he'll jump off his chair, walk over to his ball droid, and he'll stand on top, and both of them will just float up to the ceiling. And you watch as Varix is now focused on this spot, and he looks down at his droid, and a little hatch opens up, and he pulls out a set of tools and some more filament, and he's just going to work on the ceiling, and almost like a spider weaving web, fixing these spots in the ceiling.
The bartender like has us look like a what the, and looks at Evane and she goes, "Hey, I didn't say you could fix my bar." And Evane like puts up both hands and says, "I'm sorry. We'll be out of your way soon. I'm sorry." And she looks up at what Varix is doing and is like, and just kind of goes, "I hope that's done soon."
I think it's a nice gesture.
Mason and Ed went from like looking at each other to following this bitch up to the ceiling.
At one point, he even like steps off of his droid and like is clinging to the ceiling. Like his feet, he's clinging to the ceiling and he's just walking upside down.
We must protect
everything.
this creature at all possible.
I believe that is yes.
All right. We need to move along. Let's
He'll float back down and just.
Let's just we might. You know, I'm going to trust that you are who you say you are. I know at least 2 people here. In passing, she looks at Kalani and Nerix. I'm just gonna trust that this is the crew that I've got. I did say I was going to pay you 100 cubal up front, and I think that you, she points at Mason. Mason, you're one of the. You're another really, really good bounty hunter, aren't you? That's what your qualification said.
I'm not gonna brag or anything, but whatever credentials were sent to you.
They're all correct.
Yes.
I don't want to brag. I mean,
sure. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and I'll go ahead and pay you your money now, and I'll take you to the ship that you're crewing. And she pulls out her data pad and hits a few buttons, and all of your data pads ping. 500 text messages now for you there, Mason. Another of which is just a gif of "I will find you." All of your data pads ping with a deposit of 100 cubal that has been added to all of your accounts.
Lovely, thank you.
Thanks.
And she stands up and she starts walking with you to lead you to the ship that you're crewing.
I'm gonna turn back around and add a.
Oh my god!
Annie's gonna see that and go.
It's gonna be great.
Yes, influencing. Yes.
Oh my god!
This is what happens when you work with children.
Yay! Oh god!
You don't have to play a kinku to mimic people, okay?
Yes, true.
Okay, so that note, she starts taking you out, but you notice like the other people that the other people in the bar are starting to get loud. One of them is like, "No, I'm telling you, they shorted me by 1 vial of sorium. They said they were going to pay me in sorium. They shorted me 1 vial. They said it was 3. They gave me 2. And they're getting really loud with this other person. And this is happening as you're passing by. And what do you do?
Me?
Yeah, this is happening as this group is passing by. Do you guys do anything about it? Or are you going to listen? Or are you going to
Is anybody
intervene?
getting violent, or is it just loud?
This person is up in someone else's face, like in the other person's face.
If I had popcorn, I'd eat some, but that's about it.
I think Annie's a little intrigued and wants to like slow their pace enough to hear what's going on, but doesn't want to step out of the group and miss whatever's going to happen next.
Okay. The bartender is watching this to see if things escalate, but you can tell that it's just them here, so they're kind of on the edge of putting, they don't want to get into this if they don't have to. But it unfortunately does escalate with the belligerent person grabbing the other person by the collar and saying, "They paid you an extra. I saw that. Give me your extra and we'll be fine. You don't understand. I have a family to feed. If we run out of Sorium, we can't run anything in our house. They give it all to the tourists."
Kalani makes sure that Nyrix is on the opposite side of where this commotion
Just
is.
move Nyrix,
protecting her sister,
She goes
Evane is
willingly,
also
too.
looking. Yeah.
All right, so who is the person that's now, I'm assuming, being grabbed? Who are these
You
people? What do they
see,
look like? What's the power
So
dynamic
you
here?
see a tall woman who's doing the grabbing. She's a taller woman. She has her hair braided. It's dark. She has dark brown hair. It's braided. And she's wearing a tank top. The way she is dressed, it's clear that she's doing hard labor. She is a dock worker. She is someone who is moving goods from from one ship to another, or moving goods to be taken deeper into the city of Corona. And the other person is dressed the same way, but they are a little bit smaller. This is a young man who might actually be dressed a little bit better. It's very possible that they could be in a more managerial position, or if nothing else, a position above hers. And
Okay.
they also have a little badge that kind of further confirms that this person is above her.
The tall
In
woman
terms
looks a
of,
little bit like one of Annie's moms, and it makes him a little uncomfortable, and so he steps a little farther away while still listening.
All right, remind me how Storium works. Can it be bought with Cubal? Or
Sorium in the Carabiner is a resource that is difficult to find. You can find it and you can purchase it, but it is very expensive. It starts at 100 Cubal and progressively gets higher depending upon its availability on the planet that you're looking for it on. With it, it can go up as high as it can go into the thousands of Cubal. And for
I don't think Annie knows
a lot
this.
of people, it's kind of like how the Romans used salt to pay some of their workers. Some establishments actually pay their workers in Sorium, and that's actually what they use to power their homes. They use it to basically live their day-to-day lives because everything runs on Sorium in the Silrayne. This includes the Carabiner as part of the Silrayne. They just literally have less of it.
okay. And it looks like the smaller person is this sort of what Ed would call a stiff neck. If they
Yes.
look like managerial and shit like that.
They look managerial. They're still
Okay.
they're still built they still look like they've been doing heavy labor. They also look like they're above her in terms of where they are in the hierarchy of their.
And the woman is the one that said she has a family and shit like that, right?
She has a family
Okay.
and that she needs the extra vial of Sorium.
So if it's escalated and Ed would have heard that, he probably would have, tried to insert himself, but more so with his back to the stiff neck person and sort of tried to wedge himself between and see if he could get this woman off to the side.
Okay, so he wedges himself between and pushes physically gets the woman to let go.
Hey, let me just over here. You want to come out? Why don't you come over here with me for a minute? Come over here with
Okay,
me for a minute.
all right. If you're trying to convince her to come with you, I'm gonna need you to roll a persuasion check. First roll of the night.
Yeah. Let's.
Can I give him advantage by using telepathy?
If you are helping him with your telepathy, then yes.
Yeah, I want to help
And
him
how
with
are
my
you
telepathy
choosing
by.
to help?
I want to use my telepathy with her, and I want to say
Okay.
it's okay. Trust this guy. It'll just take a minute.
Okay, so you can roll with advantage.
Oh shit! I lost my. Oh my god! There's so many things.
Don't lose your dice.
No, I had so many open tabs in the thing. I couldn't get to my character sheet. Okay, here we go.
I'm gonna say I wouldn't know a thing about that and make everyone around me laugh loudly and with full abandon.
All right, and so you said that was persuasion with advantage. Oh, son of a bitch.
Correct.
All right.
Let me see.
Here's fucking hoping, I guess. All right, I'm on advantage. I can see the screen. I'm gonna
First
click.
roll of the night. Let's do it. First roll of 2023 for the pocket dragon. No.
Let's go,
no pressure.
baby!
Woo, that's a
21.
nat.
Yay!
That's a nat 20.
That's a natty 20.
Let's go!
Beautiful, baby.
Let's go. Get it.
Twice
That's gonna
that's
set the tone
happened.
for 2023.
That's twice that's happened.
Yes. Woo! All right, so you get her to come with you. She says she sort of takes a breath and gives this dude a glare. Like, the only reason I haven't punched you in the face is because this person stepped in and saved your ass. And she comes with you, and we'll find out what you say after this wonderful break, because it is our break time, y'all. So
Hey!
we're gonna take a tenor. We're gonna, we'll be
tenor.
here, but yeah, take a 10-minute break.
I'm sweating
And as I like
as
to
much
say,
as Annie is. Damn.
Well, not that I'm encouraging this practice, but it's just an old saying. Smoke them if you got them. Hang out. Take a breath. Get a water. We'll see you soon.
Oh my god.
Alrighty. And we're back. It's definitely that kind of day. We got a bunch of planets in Gatorade, and well, it's causing more tech issues. So here we are. I hope you enjoyed those extra few minutes of a break. But now we're back and ready to continue.
Gatorade.
That's what you do, you know. I think it's Mars and Mercury that are doing the Gatorade right now. So can't talk and gotta fight everybody. Let's do it. So moving on. When we left our intrepid adventurers, they had just convinced this belligerent woman who was arguing about her pay with her superior to come with them. And so I believe, Annie, you helped good old Ed to convince this woman to come with him. So now this woman has come with you, and she is looking at you like, why did you stop me? He shorted me out of my pay. I saw him take that extra vial. I need that sorium.
Yeah, I get it. I know. Stiff necks do this shit. I understand. But you don't want them fucking you up after the fact. How much you need? What do you need to get for what? 1, 2? What you got? What do you need?
It just.
How many cubal do you need?
It's not cubal. It's
all right.
sorium.
Right, but you can buy sorium with cubal. You understand? How much would Ed have an idea of how much maybe like the more expensive would be? Like, would he know how much?
In Nordstern, if you knew where to go, you could find a vial for as little as 100 cubal. But the going rate in most places, especially in the port, because it's a tourist area, is 250 to 300. However, you do hear something behind you as a jingling as Evane goes through her pockets, and she puts a hand on your shoulder, Ed, and says, and steps like next to you and says, here, just take mine, okay? It'll be fine. And the woman looks at both of you for a minute, like she's not even sure if this is the real stuff. And Ed, you have experience with looking at sorium. And you can see that the vial that Evane is holding actually has sorium in it. Like, this is the real stuff. She's not like, it's not like colored sugar or whatever. It's the real stuff. And this woman like sort of hesitatingly takes it and like holds it up and like shakes it a little bit because she has to make sure that it's the real stuff. And she says, thank you. And she like looks back at you, Ed.
Is there a discreet way to transfer money between people?
You have the equivalent, and I love the fact that this is a sci-fi because I can like make real world equivalents here. Essentially, you have the equivalent of a money transfer system like Venmo or PayPal. It's just more efficient, and you don't get charged taxes. Yay! Hey. Anyway, okay. So basically, you could transfer an amount of cubal to this person if you wanted to.
Okay. Would it be like a whole thing, or would it be like as simple as maybe like let my phone touch your phone? Does it have to be like a whole like
I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of hot. Let's touch phone.
God. Actually, because what you can do is you can take your data pad discreetly. You can actually do this discreetly, and you can sync it to hers if she has one to transfer and do like a quick transfer to that IP address. Like essentially the equivalent of like the identifying address of that data pad. You'd be transferring the cubal to that.
Okay. Well, I would ask again and say in the same sort of, like hush tone that I took her aside and be like, you got a pen?
You got a pen?
You got a pad?
Oh, a pad.
Come on.
I heard pen. Sorry. And she's like, yeah, it's kind of an old one. And she produces this like, kind of like the difference between like the early cell phones where you had like the big, like the brick, and versus your like more streamlined, like iPad-esque model.
Oh man, I wanted to be like a Bic that never died.
It's a Nokia.
Yeah, the old Nokia. It's kind of, she holds out this like busted data pad. It's seen some shit. It's older. It's an older model. But she has one.
Okay. He's like, all right, that'll do. And he pulls out his, which is not like top of the line or any shit like that, but it's not old. And he's going to do the sync, whatever it is, not putting too much attention to where his hand is like pressing the buttons or like moving across the screen and shit. And he's gonna send her 2,000 people.
Oh, okay, all right.
Changing this woman's life.
Basically a little message pops up
the next one
at the transfer and says, "Are you sure?" Like that's what the message says. It doesn't say it out loud. It just
yeah, fucking goddamn it.
I fucking wouldn't do it if I didn't want it. God.
Money
Next message. You have overdrafted 1,900.
Oh god. But the woman's data pad pings and her eyes sort of widen at the amount that you sent her, and she's like, "Who are you people?"
We're not stiff necks, that's for sure. Don't let this guy fucking bother you. Go get some yourself. And he's just gonna walk away at that.
Somehow, like, this crew has become like the fuck capitalism crew, and I don't know how.
I mean, you don't know how.
Oh my god. Anyway, so the woman is grateful to both you and to Evane for supplying her with thorium and like a couple weeks worth of her paychecks, if not more, because she doesn't make that much as a dock worker, but she makes enough. So she like walks away, and the guy that you left behind, that you pulled her away from, because she leaves. She's over it. So the woman leaves, but the guy that she was trying to, harass, comes over to you and says, Thanks for getting her off me, man. I really don't understand why she's acting that way. I didn't short her or anything.
Punch him.
Do it.
Oh my god. Because all he saw is you huddled around her talking. Like, so as far as he knows, you had to come into Jesus with her, and that's it. You know the coming. It's a term. It's a term. The come into Jesus meeting.
Yeah.
Jesus is one of the planets in the system.
That's it.
Yep. It's pronounced Jesus.
Oh God.
Not ho Jesus.
Oh no.
He Ed would kind of give this fucker a sort of like glare, kind of deciding what to say, hands in his pockets again. He's not going to let him know what actually happened, but he's like, yeah, nothing like getting one of those dirty fucking dock workers off your back, huh?
And he looks at
With
you.
a bit of sass in his voice.
He's like, he like looks at you and he's like, I'm a dock worker. I didn't get to where I am now by just sitting on my butt,
How did you get there?
clearly
Like on others?
What? I work just as hard as everyone else. I don't know what's wrong with all of you, but y'all better not come back to this bar again. And he like
Oh,
huffs
really?
off.
No.
He literally like huffs off. He like thinks he's
right.
fresh.
I want to catapult some food at this guy.
Oh my god, don't
Does-
start a food fight.
So at this point, after all this little commotion, Varix would have just been like sitting on his ball droid and just looking.
Mhm.
Can I during
And if he
while-
made eye contact with him, he would just be like,
while
and just wave.
Okay, and then
while
Bex,
that's happening, can I go like while that's all happening, including Barracks and Ed and the dock worker and everything? Can I go up behind the Can I tie the stiff neck shooters together?
Want me to sleight of hand?
Yeah. All right.
Can I assist with that by distracting him and intimidating the stiff neck while he's standing there?
So you can roll with advantage.
All right. So I don't know what that one is because I can't figure out how to. Hold on. That's not advantage.
You
that's
rolled
just
a third.
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
I'm rolling it twice because I don't have the full access to this.
Okay, that's
Okay, so 19.
Okay, so that's a 19. Yeah, you you tie this man's shoes together. So as he starts to hop off, he falls on his face. And Evane is like, we gotta go, get going. Like she's that woman that is pushing y'all out of the club before a big fight breaks out. So you all like she pushes you out of the Dusty Starfish. The bartender is side-eyeing you like, who the hell, what the heck is happening kind of a situation. I need to turn my sound off because we're popping over there.
Always disable roll 20 chat beep.
Chat beep. Oh God. It's just gonna pop off. You know, that's just my roll 20, guys. It's fine. God. Good God.
Right,
Turn it all off. Dang it. Anyway. All right. So we move back to. So you guys have left the Dusty Starship. Starfish. Naming conventions, y'all. Anyway.
This is not the chocolate starfish.
No, that would be very bad. Let's not do that. So
turns out I had it always
bar.
roll advantage.
So,
this makes sense.
Oh, there you go. No, that was
Explains why I was confused.
So moving on, Evane takes you all out of the Dusty Starfish and she leads you down the docks. So you go further and further into these industrial docks. Okay, and as you go down these docks, she says to you, she's like, look, I called you all into the Dusty Starfish because I wanted to get a sense of the crew that I would be dealing with, because this isn't going to be a short journey. Are you guys okay with that?
I got nowhere else to be.
As long as our cover isn't blown, we're fine.
She's talking and Barracks is just looking at everything like,
Well, I can't really say for sure, and I'm not. The reason I was so vague in my directive is because, and she looks around, I really don't want anyone to find out what I'm up to. But when we get to the ship, we'll be fine. We should be good to talk in there. And you actually realize that you're very deep in the industrial bays. Like this is where ships get ready to, where they come in and where they take off. Essentially, you can, and what the port looks like itself, it is a water-based port, funnily enough. So these ships actually make a water landing between two parallel docks before they release their essentially their bridges and open their like cargo bays to have items moved and from ship to ship. And you can see ships in various stages of unloading, others getting ready to take off or land with their lights blinking and things. And finally, she takes you to a little kind of podunk ship. You see a range of types of ships. You see beautiful ships that are like very sleek and very streamlined. They look very clearly have like heraldry of the Silrayne Arc on it, because they're arc ships that are either going to or from the Silrayne Arc on their way to deep space through the Carabiner, or you also see smaller ships that are more like they're more like little transport ships. You would be familiar with them, my people who took public trans to get here. That would be Ed and good old Mason over here and everyone else. I think Annie also took public trans to get there. So you see a couple of those, but they're less touristy and more like the airport shuttles that are for employees at the airport. They're kind of like that. They're really much more for workers and much more for personnel who are operating at the dock. You do see the occasional Carabiner Network soldiers and what are known as Esper talents, which is what they call magic in this realm. They call forms of magic talents. And because in the Silrayne, such talents are attributed to the crucibles, and thus, you are an Esper talent or an Esper adept, depending upon your level of magic usage. So, That said, she finally leads you to a small ship. It looks a little bit like a submarine, not as magnificent as some of the beautiful, like wooden styled ships that you've seen. This has a metal grid over the front. It's a little oval. It looks like it's seen some things, but has been welded back together and is in serviceable condition. The door is open. 2 doors are actually open. You have and both of them have like little bridges on them. You can tell that they have been used for equipping the ship. So someone has been working on getting the ship prepared for travel. And as you approach, Evane sort of takes you up and says, "This is her. This is the Nihilus." Yes. And she starts walking up the steps. I have to tell you, though, there is a captain for this ship already. And we also have a cook. Unfortunately, he kind of burns things, but he's a very good cook overall. Just, don't get anything that burns easily, I guess.
I could help with that.
Well, he's a bit stubborn, or at least part of him is. But I think that they're away right now getting goods for the ship. So you probably won't meet them until we take off.
When's that?
Tomorrow morning is the plan. They should be back a little bit later tonight, and we'll prep and we'll leave just as scheduled. So far, everything's gone smoothly, so I don't anticipate any trouble. Famous last words. So she walks, she says that as she's standing in the doorway, and she walks in. If you guys are to follow, what you'll see is that these doorways open into a beautiful sort of common area. You see like a big circular couch in the center with a little metal table and a little vase with some pink flowers that obviously they don't look like any earthly thing you've ever seen. They're not from around, they're from like Tekeh or one of these paradise planets.
Touchy.
And, to your right is a kitchen. As you enter, it's a little like kitchen area with like a buffet station that seems to like generate food as a kind of like in the Jetson style, where you have like you push what food you want and it makes food. Or you can also prepare. There's an area to prepare food if you want to do something different. A monitor in 2 areas, one to see what's going on outside the ship, the other to see what's going on inside the ship. And that's pretty much where you've ended up. Evane invites you to the table in the center of the common area. And she sort of stands there and hits a couple buttons on the table to bring up a projection of a map as she waits for you to settle in.
Passing by one of the plants, Varix will reach up and like touch it, accidentally break off a leaf, and just be like, put it back and just.
Well, as you do that, the plant actually snaps at you. Yeah, like as you try to take off its leaf, it like goes. And
I'll run behind Bex.
Whoa! Look at those flowers. And gonna reach towards it. Yeah.
It hisses. It tries to bite you, and then it goes.
Come on, Varix, let's go this way. Let's go.
Varix's face. He looks back towards the plant. His face turns red again, and just.
Evane is like, you should really watch out for those. They bite.
Noted.
And she looks to the rest of you and says, well, now that we're on the ship, I can talk a little bit more freely. How much do you know about the Carabiner system's energy issues? Nothing. Okay. So a little bit. She looks to Kalani and Nerix.
Sorry, I was distracted by the fascinating one.
The fascinating one.
That's like a
God.
subtle backslap.
Evane sighs a little bit and then looks at Ed like, do you know anything about this like kind of situation?
I know about as much as any other poor bastard knows about it. That it's fucking rough.
Yeah. And then she looks to Mason.
Pick your poison, I guess.
Well, if you've been keeping up with it, the resources in the Carabiner are dwindling. We don't know why we're finding less Sorium. A lot of conspiracy theorists are claiming that the network has had some backdoor dealings within the Silrayne Arc, and that they're using what little Sorium we have for other purposes. I don't know if I subscribe to that theory, but I do know that people are hurting, and I've been trying to fix that for a while now. I work in the Scientific Research Division's chemistry division. Mostly, I do a lot of chemistry, alchemy, those kinds of things. And she looks to Kalani. I've worked in the lab with you a couple of times, but I don't think you noticed I was there.
I was very much in my studies. Yes.
Yeah, you blew up part of the lab that one time.
Well, you know, I was curious if that formulation would work, and if it would have been great. But sometimes
it worked all over my experiment. But you know, whatever. It's water under the bridge.
Sometimes you gotta blow a few experiments up in order for them to work. You know.
Listen, that's not why we're here. I'm just trying to say that I think I found a way to solve our energy problems. A little while ago, quite some time ago actually, there was a pirate attack. And it was pretty close to Nordstern, actually. They put it down. But they don't know why it happened. No one understood why a pirate attack even happened this close to the Silrayne Arc. But there were some survivors. Someone said that a baby was found. I don't know what kind of baby, but just a baby. And there were 2 others that managed to survive. I found those people. It turned out when I talked to them, they had something with them that was really interesting. And she pulls out she actually taps a few buttons on the hologram and shows you a vial of Sorium. Is an image of one, like on one panel, and on the other panel is a vial of something else that is very different from the iridescent sort of violet color that Sorium is. This is an electric blue color, and when you look at like the energy readings on it, it's almost 4 times more than what Sorium can provide. At the top, she says, it was an element. They don't know how they got it. They said that they just saw this blue powder and collected some of it in the debris, like the wreckage of the ship, as they were escaping. And when I analyzed it, I realized that this element could be the answer we're looking for.
I'd be happy to keep studying it with you.
Well, that's the problem. This is the only sample I have. I've called it Euphorium. And I think because of the energy readings, it could power the Carabiner pretty much forever.
Why do I feel like the room is about to explode? Continue.
That tense music was playing. Look, if anyone found out about this, well, there are a lot of bad people that would want to either keep this off the market or control it for themselves. That's why I want to try to find it on my own. And that's why I called for a crew.
At the mention of the pirate attack, Varric's antenna stick up, and he's now laser focused in on this conversation. And then she brings up the Euphorium, and he's now like in front of everybody, just like looking at it. Brings down his goggles.
Just right next to Kalani.
Brings down his
Both
goggles.
of you guys are
and
like
just,
nerding out.
yeah, and he's just like messing with it. He's scrolling through like different lenses while looking at these samples.
Do you have a way to track it, maybe?
Okay. Before we move into Annie's question, because Evane's going to answer you. No, that's okay. Knight, do me a favor and roll intelligence, because you're analyzing it with your goggles.
Let's go, baby. Can I do it? Would you rather me do the dice rolls online or IRL?
Roll 20, please.
Roll 20. Fantastic.
I wish we could do them IRL, but one day. One day, maybe.
Man, I got these metal dice out. Oh, I'm so.
Yeah.
If people are making rolls to like sort of identify this in whatever field, can I join that?
You can, but really this is less about identifying because it's on the screen. It's not hidden from you. You're looking, if you're rolling for it, you're rolling for a more in-depth understanding to see what you know about this, if you know anything about it at all.
Yeah.
Just a
I'm
straight
asking
intelligence.
because more like an arcana sort of deal, if I'd be able to roll that.
You can roll.
Okay.
You can roll Arcana.
I mean, I just want an excuse to roll dice. I have 0 Arcana, though.
All of them. Ooh, okay. So, Varric, I think you automatically
Ed!
Well, natural 20, Ed. God damn. Okay.
How are the intelligent people not?
Annie rolled a 14.
2 rolls of yours in a row.
Okay. Well, so both Varrix and Annie. Annie, you've never seen this before in your life. The only thing that you even know about it is that it's a very pretty light blue color. That's it. Varrix, your goggles keep saying unknown element every time you change them.
Well, at least it
Cannot
knows the
identify.
name.
I keep hearing the Mass Effect voice.
Unknown
element.
Unknown
Well, now I know.
element.
now I know what to audition for. But but Ed, you know something. You know that on the black market, after this directive, after this directive came out, you know that someone immediately put a missive out to find the person that was responsible for locating this. You just didn't know who that person was.
Now do they know?
Just make me
Yes,
that
they do.
guy.
I hate being the bad guy. I have to actually look at my notes because I think I want to say it was you, but it might have also been Mason.
Yeah, Ed's good at finding people.
Yes.
Really fucking good at finding people.
Ed's really good at finding people.
Stumbled into it on accident. Anyway, we're gonna just go with that.
Is it
I'll look at
Wendy?
those later.
Please be Wendy.
But Wendy's still missing her shoe somewhere. Is pissed off. She's like, with an eye, damn
on
it,
the
with an
walk.
eye.
Never
Anyway,
gonna find that
so
fucking shoe again.
anyway, so that's what you know. And Mason, you might have also heard this something similar, but it might have been a bit more vague for you. It's the kind of thing that one of your informants would have heard a rumor about, but you didn't think to look into the rumor because you were otherwise occupied. So that's
Kalani's just in her own world. Doesn't even think to
yes,
just further investigate. Just like it's new. I need this.
Evane says, I have the sample, but I put it somewhere for safekeeping on this ship, just in case. I don't want the wrong people to get their hands on it. There's a lot of, well, let's just say the Carabiner isn't exactly filled with tourists all the time, right?
Completely understand, yes.
And she switches out the image to one of a map. And it is a map of the Carabiner system. You all know this because you know what the Carabiner system looks like. A lot of you have traveled from world to world. And she zooms in on a specific area. I need all of you to roll me history or intelligence, whichever one you're better at.
Let me look.
Ooh, natural 20,
insane.
Kalani.
That's insane.
Oh, Mason, you're distracted. You got 600 text messages now, and you're just like, should I delete them or look at them? Very 19, so you're gonna know. Sweet, good
That
job.
voice
That's a
crack
dirty
was not
20.
intentional.
All
I'll have you know.
With how many history
right.
books
Nerek's out of
Merrick's
19.
reads, I figured that.
Ooh, Ed.
It all came crashing down.
Oh,
fine.
buddy.
Oh, so
Nerek's
Ed,
with double 19s, though.
All your
Okay,
rules have
so
come
yeah,
true.
no, double 19s. So Ed, Nerek's, and Mason, you guys
Wait, I also got a 24.
don't know. Yes, no.
Oh,
I'm going with
sorry.
all my low people first. My
Sorry.
20s, my 20s, and all my high rollers. I'm going to get to you, I promise.
I'll
So
shut up, sorry.
all my low ball people, you guys know the Carabiner system the way that an elementary schooler knows the solar system. You have no idea where you're going. However, all of my high rollers, my 19 and ups, you guys know exactly where this is, and this is very disturbing. Because the place Evane is showing you is called the Infinite Polygon. And the Infinite Polygon is one of the most dangerous places in the Carabiner to be.
Bermuda Triangle.
Wow, it's like I made a really, really obvious geometric reference in the name. Yes, it's exactly that. Ships that have entered that space have returned in pieces. They've returned devoid of their crew or disappear entirely, never to be heard from again. It's known for being a system within a system with 2 planets circling around its center. No one knows what sits. It's rumored. That's the rumor. That's kind of like the theory of kind of Galileo's theory about how everything revolves around the sun. And the reason it's a rumor is because no one actually knows what's in the center of space. They know that the twin planets that are there, that exist there, whether or not they revolve around each other, even that's pretty much unknown. They're familiar enough with them to know that like some celestial bodies exist within that space, and they have been named. One is Scylla, and the other is Charybdis.
I love you.
Exactly.
Sorry, that's it. I love you.
Okay, I appreciate it. I appreciate my name. Like, you know, I love
Another Percy
those names too.
Jackson.
Fuck off.
Go home,
No,
mate.
fuck
Go
off.
home. You're drunk. Anyway, so, however, Evane begins pulling up additional reports about the Infinite Polygon, and she says, I suspect that this element came from this area. And if you look at the reports since following that pirate attack, you'll see why. And she pulls up these reports, and you see, as you begin to read them and study them, that sensors have detected heightened activity in that area of space following the pirate attack in Nordstern. Many of the ships that were running their regular trade routes, not even through the Infinite Polygon, because they most do not, for that, because of its nature, it's so dangerous. If they're going anywhere around it or near it, they haven't finished their journeys. Even the ships that have been sent out to retrieve them have gone out there to do that and never been heard from again. Like, no one
Whoever's
knows what happened to
standing
them.
right next to Annie hears him say, I'm not allowed to go there.
That would be me. Because you can guarantee that he's been watching this kid's face and he's been moving up and standing behind, and he leans over this kid's shoulder and he's like, "You got all your affairs in order, Sora?
Oh my god.
You got everything taken care of with, the business left behind?" Good man. And he puts his hand on his shoulder and sort of shakes him around.
Wow. Okay. So, last but not least, you also see that the network has started escorting vessels through the area around the infinite polygon, literally to avoid a goods shortage in addition to a fuel shortage. And it looks like that has alleviated the problem, but it seems like a temporary solution. Because no one can figure out why this is happening to these ships when they're not even in the infinite polygon. And Evane points this out to you, and then she says, "I think that that's where it's located, and whatever is happening has to do with this. But if we can get our hands on this, we could save everyone, or at least give everyone the means to continue with their lives. I mean, we know the Silrayne Arc doesn't care about us. You guys know that. The scientific division here barely has an office at best." And she's talking to Kalani and Nerix.
You guys would watch as she's wrapping up this little bit. Varric fishes in. His ball droid floats over and turns to face away from him. And he opens up a panel in the back. And he takes out his data pad and sets it in, and he has a little keyboard that he starts writing on or typing on.
Ooh.
The last mumble that Ed hears from Annie is, "Oh, Bull's gonna kill me if I live."
Adorable.
You would also see Varric take his bottom left arm and stick it into the machine, and it just sits there for a little bit, and while his other three type away.
Sick. What a useful bug.
Evane is like.
Did you say that out loud?
No. That's not Annie. Sorry.
Evane is like sort of sees this happening under the corner of her eye, but she like is busy with the hologram and explaining. And as she wraps up this discussion, and she turns it off and says, "That's why I'm willing to pay so much for this job. We have to be successful. We can't fail. The entirety of the Carabiner is at risk."
Oh, you've picked a hell of a team then.
I
Definitely.
thought I was
a challenge.
picking. I really believe that you guys are qualified. The algorithm wouldn't have chosen you if you weren't, right?
We're more than qualified for this. Don't worry.
Annie.
It's her,
Annie with the shadow of a
at
man.
least-
Just
two of us from the research. At least I know my chemicals.
Well, if nothing else, you guys can, I don't know, back me up when the research division comes down on me for taking this up on my own. And as you guys are starting to talk, you hear something outside. It's like a commotion.
oh, great.
And as you start hearing this commotion, you see two people running up the ship. And something like tiny and white behind them. And this, actually, no, one person. It's one person, but it seemed like two people at first. It's actually just one very tall person carrying a basket of food with what you thought was a person, but it actually wasn't. It was the illusion of a person. It's actually a little ball of flame that's sitting on his shoulder. That kind of hovers on his shoulder. And the little white thing is following him. It's like a bunny rabbit looking creature that seems to be and everybody seems to be running in a little bit. And as as that person runs in, he comes in and immediately shuts the door and says, "We have to go now." And the fire says, "Guess what? We pissed off the cops." And
I mean, cops are easily pissed off. It happens a lot.
The little flame says, I don't think we actually made them mad. I think that they figured out what we were doing.
What?
Somebody tipped them off.
are you doing?
I don't.
Turn to the person. We need to leave right now. We need to go.
Evane's eyes are like wide and says, "Where's the captain?" And the little flame says, "I think she fell asleep in the hold again. She said she was tired."
Here? Oh, so we can go.
Yeah, she likes sleeping a lot. Anyway, we gotta go. And that's the flame. The actual human who's a very tall, handsome looking man. Like, we're talking like this person looks as if they were sculpted, because they are very chiseled.
Go on.
However, you do notice that as he hits the other button for the door to close and for things to retract and doors to close and things, he is wearing a wedding ring on his left hand. So don't get too excited.
It could be Polly.
Well,
this futuristic day and age.
You'll have to ask him later, because he hasn't introduced himself yet. The little white fluffy creature begins chirping like in alarm and like goes over to Evane and is like chirping in alarm. And she's like, I know, I'm working on it. She points at Varix, come with me. We need to figure out how to get this thing to go. Or maybe we should go to the engine room. And the man in the flame, after the doors have closed, and you can hear a commotion happening outside. And the man looks at her in a very calm, robotic voice. The man actually speaks and says, "We will take the engine. In the meantime, focus on getting the ship online." And he turns and he turns, followed by this little flame who's like, "But don't die though, because then we can't take off." And like the two of them go like toward the opposite direction. They go to the left instead of to the right, which gives you the sense that the captain's chair and everything that the piloting equipment for the ship, the cockpit, if you will, is to the right, and the engine room is to the left. So
where is the cargo hold?
Yes, the cargo hold would be to the left. Towards the engine room. You actually have to pass through the cargo hold to get to the engine room. It's multi-layered. The engine room is directly below it. However, before you can think too much about that, an image pops up on the table in front of you, and it is an image of outside. At the top of the monitor, it says "Danger, hostile party approaching," and what you see are several Carabiner Network like guards approaching that are armed, along with Esper talents who are already preparing spells to fling at this ship. It's obvious that someone has to waylay them, or you are not getting off the ground.
Is there any way to throw things outside of the ship?
You mean like you?
No,
says the flame from a distance.
I have stun grenades. Please don't throw me.
We just catapult you, like, oh, look at a check button. So,
please don't throw me.
Perhaps one of us should find the captain and wake her?
So would we have to open the door in order to like waylay or
you
keep
would
it?
you would have to open the door and risk them boarding to waylay them. You can look around the ship to see if there's anything like you could use or any kind of like something that might be able to be activated. Varix.
Varix is still standing there by his droid. He's going to pull out his arm, which causes the panel to immediately just shut back down. And he spins it around, opens it up, pulls out a little bit of filament, runs over to the door, and immediately just starts slinging wires across the door. And what I'm technically doing is I'm casting a spell called Snare.
Okay.
It's just a trap in case anything comes in.
Okay.
And I'm hooking a stun grenade to the end of it.
Okay, great. Are you able to roll that spell in roll 20? Does it require anything, like a dex save or something?
Let me look it up real quick. Snare. I use something to create a circle within a 5-foot radius on the ground or floor. When you finish the casting, it says rope here, but I use filament.
Oh, yeah, I get it. The wire disappears and becomes a magic trap. So let's see. It would need a successful intelligence check. So you don't actually have to roll anything. You're fine. If anything, the other parties have to roll anything. Okay. So how are you communicating this? Are you communicating this to everyone else? Or are you not?
Two hands are working on the trap. My bottom two have pulled out my data pad.
I was about to say, it looks pretty obvious, right?
I'm obviously doing something, but the bottom hands are using my data pad, and they'll send an airdrop saying, "Don't use door."
Okay.
Okay, so we're not using that door.
While the bug is working, can I look around the room to see if there's any obvious, like, hey, that button would probably, I don't know, set off a bomb outside or something?
You can.
Can we put up the force fields?
You can. Go ahead and roll me a perception check.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to take off towards the engine room once I'm done.
Okay.
13, it looks like. Not fantastic.
13, you don't. Okay.
Are there cannons that I can shoot my stun grenades out of?
So roll me a perception check, Annie. As far as you, Ed, you actually don't really find any buttons, but you do find what looks like a little map on the side of the ship. It seems like a standard safety map, like somebody actually cared about OSHA regulations and was like, in case of a fire, maybe people should know how to get out of here. The amount of buildings that I know that don't have this are amazing. Fucking
I'll let you know that we're really in a fantasy world because somebody cared about OSHA regulations.
Anyway, so
in a world of OSHA
what does that say?
The map actually states, like, in the event of an emergency, the door can be opened. There's a way to open the door that it creates a protective wall between you and the people that are, like, the invading entity. For example, like if you needed to onboard or offboard people, well, in this case, it would be like if you needed to get people on board without them getting hurt by projectiles or weapons, there's a way to do that.
Okay, and I'm assuming the way that the door could be opened now without disrupting this bug's trap, like all of that would still sort of be across the space.
Yes.
All right. So seeing this sign, I'm assuming somewhere close to the door or otherwise in an obvious space in the room, Ed would probably walk over to it. And he's taken out what was on some sort of, actually, he's got this backpack on. Actually, it's sort of like a thicker, maybe like traveler's backpack, and in a very sort of like side pocket, he's reached back and pulled out this this little handheld sort of rod of sorts. It's only maybe about, like as tall as a water bottle, but then with a click of a button, it sort of like shoots out on both sides and expands.
Okay.
And so what would be the equivalent of a quarterstaff? So he's got this shit out and he finds this sign with one hand in his pocket and the other one holding this staff, just sort of ready to do something if people come in. He reads off this sign.
Okay.
And explains that, the door can be open without shit coming in. So
while this is going on, can I just disappear somewhere in the room?
Roll stealth and let's see if you can.
Yeah, let's see if I can. We'll see.
And fades into the ether.
Before you can really get into like the mechanics of the door, I'll check your stealth check in a minute. But before you can really get into the mechanics of the door, a voice comes over the intercoms. It is not any voice you're familiar with. It is the voice of the Carabiner Network, and it says, "Do not resist. Exit the vessel with your hands up. I repeat, do not resist. Exit the vessel with your hands up." And
yeah, no, thank you.
As you
going to resist,
like as you like debate, like obviously you're not going to do this, which is fine because it doesn't look like their network's giving you a real choice in the matter. It's part of protocol because as you're debating opening the door opens. It's been hacked. So it's just you with a weapon in that door because it happens to be your door, Ed. So let's see where Mason has disappeared to. Nowhere! Mason, have you rolled a 10?
Yeah.
So you're at like that, you know how like when you're standing next to the door and you can't really immediately see the person because they're like kind of parallel to the door? That's how well you're hidden. So you just happen to be like in a way in a place that's like just barely concealed, but if people are looking hard enough, they're gonna find you.
I'm imagining Buster from Arrested Development. Yeah, that's beautiful in my brain.
Just to be clear, is it the same door that I told everybody not to use?
No, it is not the same door. Your door, because there are two doors. One of the doors is the door that you have booby trapped. The other door happens to be the door that was not like is the door that opened. They're the opposite door because they're next to each other.
Okay.
It allows for dual loading basically, but today it's allowing the Carbiner network in.
If I am right in front of that door and I see these people coming through, I'm imagining I'm not getting shot by projectiles or anything, but I'm definitely going to hit another button on this quarterstaff, which has this, once I press it at the very opposite end, the taller end where my hand sort of is, sort of like light blade or electric blade or something like that forms a glaive at the end of this quarterstaff pops up, and I'm just ready. Here they come.
Okay. Evane's voice pops over the intercom and says, "We have to go now. If we can get the engine up and running, then we can escape. But we need time to do that. Can you give us that time?"
I just remembered that
the doorway and go, "Why?"
If they're asking that, and I just remembered the little man going out the door toward the engine room, I'm gonna burst from cover and take off down the hall toward him.
Okay. So Mason and Varix are going towards the engine room.
Yeah, I'm gonna catch up with him.
Okay, and then Annie, roll charisma for me.
Oh, that's not going to go well. This is going to be great.
Kalani and Nerix, what are you doing?
Kalani wants to find this sleeping ship captain.
I know why Kalani wants to find the ship captain, but unfortunately, you have bigger fish to fry right now. So I'm going to need you to wait.
Kalani will have her giant oversized spoon ready to fight.
It's a spoon. Oh, God. Okay.
My spoon is too big.
You can have a spoonful. Say less.
Oh,
Annie is not charismatic, and it's showing. Okay. I got a 9.
Ooh, okay. So what happens is you say why, and you hear a pop near your head as a laser fires and almost strikes you.
All right,
warning shot, if you will.
Then the instinct is throw a stun grenade and use my bonus action to disengage and dash and get the fuck out of there.
At this point,
I don't know if that's a good idea, so no.
Okay, at this point, I have to say, roll for initiative.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I have to set that up, don't I? Oh, how do we do that? Hold on. I don't have to set a scene or something. I have to do. I forgot what I have to do.
For what?
I know that our tokens have to be on
initiative counter.
on the map.
Oh,
Yes.
we
We actually have to change the map, so we're gonna do that.
the left-hand
I'm gonna
side.
do that on a different screen.
The left-hand side, there is a button for you that is the token initiative tracker. It looks like a little like a
Hold
watch,
on.
like a little timer.
Let me move everybody, and then I will deal with the token initiative
Before we
tracker.
roll
So-
initiative. Oh God.
Yes, before everybody rolls initiative. I got ahead of myself. I was so excited to say roll initiative. Anyway, welcome to the Nihilus, everybody.
Ooh.
So let me see if this thing got changed too.
Oh my
Yeah, it's
god,
changing.
that's a shit ton of
Sinodi.
fucking people. Oh, okay, never mind. That's us.
There we
Okay.
go. Okay. My turn order started anyway.
It's
I'm
twice
gonna
I've
go
rolled
with
a
that.
3.
Woo!
Wait, which door are we at?
Thimble didn't move.
The closer one or the farther one?
Hold on. I'm gonna move you guys as soon as I get there.
Oh,
I
Yeah.
also have to go to the Nihilus. Okay, welcome to the Nihilus.
How did Ed
alrighty,
and I
so
end up
you
with the same
guys.
I
So
know.
let's see.
Twinsies.
I'm positioning you guys at the doors here. This door is like the kitchen door. It's kind of like, and then Kalani, Varix, and Mason are in the engine room. So we're gonna put you over this hatch because it's actually underneath this hatch. I'm just lazy and don't want to use layers today. All right. And Edison is right at the door. So you're like right here. Annie is also at the door and almost got killed by laser.
Annie, are you
This
okay?
door is the door with a trap.
Annie, are
I'm
you
gonna
okay?
ping it. Do you guys see? So the door on the right is the door with the trap. All right, let me take a look at the initiative counter here. It's not big enough. I can't see. All right. Annie, you rolled first. You have the highest initiative. Here we
no,
go.
absolutely not. Someone else has a 21.16 in their initiative.
Oh, okay. It needs to be it needs to be
Yeah.
organized.
If you click on the cogwheel in the turn order, and then you're going to see an option that says descending order.
Descending. Okay.
Yep, there
The
you go.
little down arrow also did for me. Okay, so that's Kalani with her big spoon. Alrighty. So, as much as I would love to start
I
this
think
combat,
we're missing
actually.
Nerix.
Oh, are we missing Varix? Varix, have you rolled initiative?
I have.
No, Nerix. No, Nerix.
Yes, you also.
Nerix.
Oh,
Yeah,
Nerix.
Kira.
Nerix.
We got Varix and Nerix. That's going to be fun.
Um,
Yes.
Yeah.
Been so confused so many times already.
Ah, this is gonna be great.
They
Okay.
rolled, but it didn't come into chat for some reason.
Okay.
Probably internet, maybe.
Okay. 1 second. I can adjust this. I think I can adjust it in roll 20.
You
Let me
can-
see. Kalani, Edison. Okay. What did she? Do we know what she rolled?
I just asked.
Yeah, if we can. Yeah, if we
Just
know, we
add the
can
token.
automatic or manually put it in.
12.6.
Sorry, what was it? 12.6. Okay. And how do I put that in?
Right click on her token and hit add turn.
Okay. Great. I love learning new things, don't y'all?
Mhm.
All right.
There
add
it is.
turn.
It's
There it
just-
is.
Yep, and then
Okay.
just modify their number to 12.6. And then you have to re-hit the descending order button again.
We're ready.
12.6. Okay.
I'm not going to throw a stun
Order.
grenade.
Hey,
I'm actually just going to
are
scream
you sure?
and
Because
cower.
I was gonna roll with that.
No, Annie's just screaming and cowering.
There is a
Okay.
stun grenade hooked
'Cause I
up
was-
to the booby trap. So
Yeah.
Huh?
Much
There's a
to
stun grenade in
Edison's
the booby
joy.
trap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right now, yeah, much to Edison's joy, Annie is just revealing exactly who they are right next.
And so we can see the turn order pretty clearly here. But as much as I would love to start this combat here, we actually are going to have to wait until next time. Because we have hit the end of the stream. So unfortunately, for you guys, you'll have to wait to face off with the Carabiner Network Guard and the the Esper talents that we are gonna.
We have to wait to fight capitalism?
Yes,
Dang it,
exactly.
not like
You
we
have
do
to
that
wait
every
to fight
day.
Capitalism. Anyway,
We should be fighting capitalism in real life every day.
If it was as simple
my
as
God.
look, if fighting capitalism in real life was as simple as fighting it in a D&D game, sign me up.
Every damn day.
Anyway,
I'm ready to spoon some enemies. It's fine.
yeah, oh my God! Minor detail I wanted to point out to you: if you see that compass rose on the map, you actually see that a lot in the docks. It's the symbol of Lorikar, god of commerce and travel. So that's your little fun trivia fact for the game tonight. But anyway, I hope that everyone has, all of our audience watching has enjoyed watching this game tonight. I know it was a little role play heavy, and we got into combat right at the last moment. But I hope that it was fun for the most part and that you've enjoyed watching. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we will see you next time for the next game of Euphorium. That'll be it's bi-weekly, so it won't be next week, but it'll be the following week. We're excited to see you.
We got you. We're gonna drop
Yes.
some VODs so that you can watch us after this.
Yes,
You won't miss anything.
the VODs will usually go up on Tuesdays. They will be on our YouTube channel, so you can check us out on the Pocket Dragon / on the Pocket Dragon on YouTube too. Not to mention, we're affiliates, so our videos stay up longer, so you can watch us on Twitch.
Come hang out with us.
So yes, and thank you to Kira and Wonderful Night for joining us at the table. I hope everybody had fun tonight, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye bye.
See you.